Recording. Good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk. This is our virtual series, and we are excited to be here this evening. We're going to have a conversation with the delegates from District 25. I'm Senator Melony Griffith, and first want to introduce my team who's been putting Let's Talk together for over a year now and has provided for this platform and reached out to all of you so you would know about Let's Talk. So can I get the members of my office team who pulled Let's Talk together, introduce yourselves quickly?
Good evening. My name is Letitia Beal. I'm Senator Griffith's Chief of Staff.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen White, and I am Senator Griffith's Special Assistant.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Najee Bailey. I'm Senator Griffith's Legislative Aide.
And so for those of you who know, we couldn't get away with without doing this. This will be Najee Bailey's Let's Talk, last Let's Talk, at least as a staff member. He got a new opportunity. And so we just want to wish Najee congratulations in his new opportunity and thank him for his contributions to the team and to your work in District 25, and wish you much success. We also had on the agenda, and we're going to hear from the delegates in just a minute, but we wanted to give each of our guests an opportunity to introduce yourselves. We listed on the agenda and the flyer that we wanted to hear who's on the Zoom with us, District 25 leaders and guests. And so I'm going to just kind of go through the room. He was one of the first to join us. Reverend Doug Edwards is on the Zoom. Would you take a minute, sir, introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thank you for this opportunity to join with you all on tonight. Again, it's sort of like a family. 24th, I'm at 25th District. It's sort of like a family. I guess the thing that I'm most known for is being one of the founding members of the Coalition of Central Prince George's County Community Organizations. That's made up of a group of civics associations, and we have worked diligently for more than 50 years in Prince George's County, helping to try and make it the great county that it is. And the other thing I may be known for is I'm the founder of the Mission of Love Charities located in Central Avenue, Old Central Avenue in Capitol Heights. And when I retired from there, we had served more than 66,000 residents of Prince George's County. And I should say the metropolitan area, because we've had them as far as Baltimore and of course, Virginia and the district. So that's me.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations on your award over the weekend. I'm just going to go on the order of that I see people on my screens, and we're going to move fairly quickly so we can get to our delegates. Ms. Wilson, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for putting this on. I am Valeria Wilson, the Vice President of the Millwood Water for Citizens Association.
Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Lauren Graziano.
Yes, good evening. Hello, Senator. I am Lauren Graziano. I work for the Maryland Multi-Housing Association. Saw an ad for this meeting on my social media, and I said, let me see what the District 25 team is up to tonight, and I'll listen in. So thank you for having me with you.
Thanks for joining us. Kay Alexander Wallace.
Good evening, Senator and delegates, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Kay Alexander Wallace here, coming from Upper Marlboro, and a pleasure to be before you all. Happy to support you all.
Thank you, sir. And one of our education leaders. I see Margaret White.
I'm not sure I know how to get on, but I'm just glad to see you and just thankful that you're still there.
And I'm thankful that you joined us, Ms. White, and I know the delegates are too. It's always good to hear your voice and know that you're rooting for Team 25.
I'll never leave you.
Nor we you. All right, Sherrie Sims.
Hi, it's Sherrie Sims with GS Proctor and Associates. Glad to spend the evening with District 25 Senator and delegates. Just here to listen in, and everyone have a good holiday.
Thanks, you too. Priscilla McCray.
Yes, hi, everybody. This is Priscilla McCray. I'm just a neighbor here and was invited to come, so I want to see what's going on there too. All right, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Miss LaVonn Reedy Thomas.
Good evening, Team 25 Senator, delegates, and neighbors. I am a new resident of the district, not new to Prince George's County, but redistricted into the 25. So it's my first resident meeting, but not my first time joining you all. So I look forward to hearing the plans for the next session. Good night. Have a good night.
Excellent. Thank you. I see Tiffany Young.
Hi, everyone. I'm a resident of District Heights, also a board member along with Ashley Sharp for the Marlboro Partnership.
Very good. Thanks for being here. Sharma Brousseau.
Let me get my dog in the back room.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to.
Hello.
Oh, there she goes.
Yes, sorry. It's great to be on. I am happy to be in the 25th. I have such great leadership in my delegate and my senator. So I'm listening to hear what's new.
Thanks, Sharma. Belinda Queen.
Good evening to everybody. How are you doing? It's a pleasure to be here. Hello to Madam Senator and everyone else. I am Belinda Queen, the Queen, D25 for sure, Chair of the Coffee Circle, Vice President of the Coalition, former school board member, but most of all, child of God. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Always good to see you, Belinda. Nakia Wright.
Good evening. It's an honor to be with Team 25 tonight. I'm here representing my office, Delegate Darryl Barnes, wherever he is. I try to be, as well as his Director of Outreach and Constituent Services. Happy evening and happy holidays to you all.
All right. Thank you. Good to hear from you and good to see you, Miss Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. Ava Richardson, PGC NAACP liaison, as well as the SGA, the SGA Center of Public Relations for Prince George's Community College.
Excellent.
Good to see you all.
Thank you for being here. And last, we will introduce the pastor of Hemingway, Pastor Gerald Folsom has joined us.
How you doing? I won't show my picture, but I would just say hello to everybody, and from Hemingway Memorial AME Church, and glad to be on this evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. And folks, we are not going to be before you long this evening. We're so glad that you joined us. We really wanted to just take a little moment and set aside and let you hear from your team in Annapolis. We're going to let each member of the team introduce themselves. I'm going to throw out a few questions for them to respond to. We're going to open it up and give you all an opportunity to ask questions, and then we're going to wrap up. And we have to apologize in advance. We learned that Delegate Barnes and I have a cannabis work group meeting this evening at 7 o'clock. So we're not going to be able to prolong the conversation this evening. So we're going to try to get as much in as we can in the time provided. I'm going to turn it over to the senior delegate in District 25, the chair emeritus of the Legislative Black Caucus, Delegate Darryl Barnes. You want to say a few words?
Listen, I just want to say, happy holidays to everyone. Excuse my voice. I'm recovering from a cold. But I wanted, this was important to me to be on this call with everyone, that I took the time out to make sure that I was here and, just be able to answer any questions that anyone has about the team, about myself, and what we're looking to do in 2023 in Annapolis. So I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Thanks so much. And our next delegate, the chair of the Prince George's House delegation, Delegate Nick Charles.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you everybody else for joining us today. I'm definitely happy Senator Griffith has pulled this together. She's been doing this for the last, I think this is 2 years straight now, Senator, and it's been phenomenal, the amount of information that you brought forth to the people. But thank you once again, Delegate Nick Charles. I'm here as chair of the Prince George's House delegation. I've been representing you all the last 4 years and excited to go into the next term to represent you in Annapolis. We got a lot of work to do from the county, from the delegation. And I'm looking to hear from you all as well as we move forward and move Prince George's County forward in the best possible way that we can.
Thank you, Delegate Charles, who just had a birthday over the weekend. Our
21.
third delegate, our third delegate, this is actually her first back to session meeting with the 25th district team, because she actually got appointed in January of last year. So we're delighted to welcome her and give her a moment to introduce herself. Delegate Toles.
Thank you so much, Senator, and thank you all for joining the Team 2-5 here on this call. Happy to be here, happy to see so many of, faces I work with, in my previous elected role, and looking forward to, starting my second session with a tad bit more experience than I had nearly a year ago. And so I do know what a bathroom is and everything now. So, Team 2-5 was really helpful in ensuring I got, acclimated, senators, staff, and my delegate and all of the delegate staff. So it's just really been a team effort getting me acclimated. And so I'm just excited for the session coming up. I serve on judiciary. And so somewhat got myself a little bit educated around some of the issues that, are important, like the cannabis issues and other issues. So look, I'm just here to listen to you all, to hear what you want us to do, to continue working for you in Annapolis in a few more weeks. So thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have to say, I'm very fortunate to have a very talented team of delegates to work with in Annapolis. I'm Senator Melony Griffith, really excited to be, have served a few years as President Pro Tem in the Maryland Senate. But we really do partner on a number of issues that are critical to the state and to the county. And I want to applaud the team. We've had some really successful years delivering resources back to our district in terms of the capital budget in particular. So what I did is I prepared a few questions to ask the team, and then I want to invite you all, if you prefer to ask a question in writing, you can type it into the chat room and a member of the team will pull it and will ask it of your 25th district team at a point during the Zoom. If you prefer to ask the question yourself, you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. But I thought I'd get us started with a few questions. And so we're going to start with Darryl Barnes, who is, so our question for him is, your colleagues elected you to lead one of the largest Black caucuses in the country. And you served in that capacity for an unprecedented length of time as chair of the Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland. So can you share with our district some of the accomplishments of the Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland under your leadership?
Yeah, let me just say it has been a distinct honor to lead the Legislative Black Caucus, which is the largest Black caucus in the Union. And because of this past election, we have grown the Black caucus from 61 members to now 64. So when you start thinking about the impact that Black legislators have in Annapolis, it's enormous. Considering the fact that it takes 71 votes to get a bill passed in the House of Delegates, and we control over a third of them in Annapolis. So the Black caucus has a real strong voice. But we passed some meaningful legislation that impact the state of Maryland in a big way. And one of the ones that I'm most proud of is settling a 15-year-old lawsuit for our HBCUs, which brought back $577 million to our 4 HBCUs here in the state of Maryland, and put them in par with our traditionally white institutions here in the state. But there have been just so many things that we've championed in Maryland. Medical cannabis is another one, where we're now having more African Americans and minorities that are now able to participate. And yet there's another multi-billion-dollar industry. And then you talk about just recently when we passed online betting, sports betting, where we now have more minorities participating in this industry than any other state in the union. So the Black Caucus is a real powerful entity with a real strong voice. And over the years, we have become more of a household name because of some of the things that we have done with our programming and other things in which we've engaged the citizens from around the state of Maryland, as well as our young people, to get them more involved in the legislative process that I'm really proud of, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. That's quite a bit of work, and we know you could share more. So thank you for that. Delegate Charles, you actually became involved in this process as a community leader in your district and now have served 4 years in the Maryland General Assembly. Since you have so many community leaders on the Zoom, please share kind of what you saw that maybe surprised you moving from community leader to elected member of the Maryland General Assembly, or anything that kind of you'd like to share having made that transition over the past 4 years.
Thanks, Senator. No, it's definitely different, from being on the outside screaming and hollering and trying to get things accomplished. I remember the constant phone calls I would have to our delegates and to our also to our county council members, to our school board members, reaching out for issues. And I can say that it's been a humbling and a blessing all in once experience, being able to be able to address those issues and concerns head on myself without having to go through any red tape. It's been an amazing opportunity, but it's a lot of work, and you would think that it's a simple task, but it's so many moving parts in Annapolis. There's so many moving parts when you're talking about building real relationships across the county council, the county executive's office, the school board office members, and also with our, the number of delegates and senators that we have to work with, and not to mention the governor's office as well. So there's so many moving parts. But when you work together and you take the time as a community leader, which a lot of the folks here are very familiar with, taking that time as a community leader allows you to build relationships across the board and know that it takes time for a lot of things. And because of that, we've been able to get a lot of great things done, Senator, from $1 billion in relief over the last session to go towards Marylanders. We've got the $2.5 billion that went financially to the county so we could have a cancer center, $400 million to build up this Blue Line corridor, from the banning of ghost guns, from the blueprint from Maryland. It's a lot of great things, and none of this stuff could be done unless we all came together. And that's the major takeaway that I have, when being just a community leader, trying to lead my 125 community-based homes to make a significant change. It takes a whole lot more to get things done in Annapolis, and it's teamwork across the board. And even now, so more so with the issue that we're addressing, which a lot of the folks that's on this call, they've been participating in the discussion with MDOT. The issues that we're seeing with our state roads being managed and maintained, we got folks stepping in from the community as a whole coming in and making that noise as well, because it takes all of us to come together to get anything accomplished. So nothing changes from that. It's a community effort. And so I appreciate, the partnerships that we have with them and with your office as well, Senator.
You're on mute.
And I should be, so I didn't blurt out. I don't want to interrupt y'all because y'all are saying some good stuff and I'd be talking out loud like I'm in church, Reverend Edwards. So I have to put myself on mute so I don't say amen sometimes. But I think both of the delegates thus far have expressed some things that hopefully you all can relate to and appreciate. We are growing in strength and in power, but we're growing largely because of the information we get from our community leaders. We were really fortunate last year. We have an incredible delegate in our district that chaired for years the House Economic Matters Committee. And we had a lot of talent in our district. As a matter of fact, let me say good evening to our member of the Democratic Central Committee, Reverend John Richardson. I see you. Good evening, sir, and to the others who have joined us. We were able to find a talented young leader who was willing to serve, how you doing, sir, in the General Assembly. As Chairman Davis went on to become Treasurer Davis, we found a talented leader who'd served 8 years on the Prince George's County Council in an area that was largely overlapping with the 25th Legislative District. And so the Democratic Central Committee unanimously supported the appointment last January of now Delegate Karen Toles. And so, Delegate, we would just love to hear from you, having served on the County Council for 8 years in a community that we know has great need, and then transitioning to the state level. Talk to our constituents about that transition, and in 1 year's time, what you've seen as the difference and how your past service serves you as a member of the House of Delegates. Now you're muted.
Okay, thank you, Senator, so much. I might have saw me look away. I was doing an introduction to some of the Black Caucus new members that are coming on to the Black Caucus. And so one of the things I just shared with them was that one of the challenges, and Chairman Charles and I worked a lot on a few local bills in Prince George's County, because while we're here making state law, we ultimately are here ensuring that our communities, you all who elected us, get the resources that you deserve, and to ensure that not only that we bring back resources, but that we're putting policy in that benefits you as well. And so, I was just sharing that learning, right, with that what we can do locally, and what we can do. And it's also important to respect local government. As a former council member, LaVonn will come up here when I was on the council, county executive, who she worked for was Sharon Baker, was the county executive. So we would come up here and ask for stuff and beg that people respect the knowledge that we had. Senator, we leaned on her a lot, as well as other, Darryl Barnes and others. We leaned on you, but we also wanted folks to kind of understand that we have some local experience as well. And so what that means is that, you may have legislation. I know, for example, I'll bring up, Delegate Charles' favorite subject, the tobacco shops, or what he liked to say, smoke shops, that we see along our county, along District 25, Marlboro Pike. That's been a real eyesore for many of you all. And so we worked last year to try to put some policy in place from a state level to control how many shops come up, what if they do there, can we grandfather them in, what those that are there not have any more, what that look like. Well, when I was on the county council, I was able to just write a law and try to make it work and, make it go away. But when you're at the state level, it's a bigger audience. So I had to go to the ECM chair. I had to ask him, can he give us some, special permissions for Prince Georgians, and, Baltimore City experienced it, but maybe not Howard County or Anne Arundel County. So then you have a conversation are you going to do special things for Prince George's, and it may impact others later across the state? Those are the challenges that you face, that while we are here trying to do local bills, we do local bills as well and local policy, because we hear you and we want to fix those issues. We do have to grapple with our colleagues around the state, ensuring that we're not doing anything that's going to impede on them or impact, the rules and regulations that are currently in place statewide. So that's sort of the challenge I face, and I still want to hold on to do some of that local fixing But I have, a bigger audience to deal with, 140 other delegates representing, is it 46 other, districts across the state. And so, but also, so that's sort of the downside. But last night we had a meeting where I was able to offer some insight on someone wanted us to put in some state law to work with WMATA. And I'm like, whoa, WMATA is a big agency, right? To work with Metro to change a whole Metro rail. Let's work together to maybe change a bus route or work with our county executive on the bus. And so they were very helpful because they were not aware that they could go that route. They assumed they had to go real big and deal with Metro. And so I learned that from being on the county council. So that's also a benefit, understanding some of the things that we did at the council, and that we don't have to go real big. We can address the problems, on a local level in a different way. And so I'm just happy to be able to bring that experience with me to Annapolis. And I just encourage all of you all that are listening, if you have local bills that, issues, come see any, of us so that we can figure out how to make that happen for you as best as we can. So I hope I was able to answer some of that question and give some examples, Senator.
No, thank you. Thank you all for that response. I think that, just from my vantage point, having served in the House and the Senate, there is a common theme that you heard from each of the members, whether it was Chair Emeritus Barnes talking about the Black Caucus, Delegate Charles, Chair of the delegation, or Delegate Toles. At the end of the day, a lot of the work that we are able to do is because we hear from community leaders that identify problems that are seeking remedy. And sometimes we do the work and we find out that legislation is not the best solution to address the issue. It may be a regulation or collaboration with a leader who has responsibility for that area. And so how Delegate Toles ended, which is by saying to each of you, if you have an issue, we will let you know if when you reach out to the office, and each of us has someone in our office that's responding to the concerns that come in from constituents, we're always trying to identify who is the best person to help resolve this issue. Because some of the issues, we get calls that are federal issues. And so we find ourselves reaching out to our Congress folks. And you all know that last year we did redistricting. We sent out information about the census collection. We now have 130,000 constituents in District 25. And so it's about 20,000 more than we had in the previous iteration of the map. But look at the number of you that have taken the time to join us this evening. So your voice is multiplied by your presence. That means you all can raise issues and you have direct access to your elected officials, and you're taking advantage of that. So applaud yourselves for taking the time to be here and participate in this process. Because we're working with a window, and I want to open it up with questions and leave time for questions from you all, I'm going to just ask each of my colleagues, and I'm going to go in reverse order. So we're going to have to move quickly, delegates. I'm going to go in reverse order, starting with Delegate Toles, then Delegate Charles, then Delegate Barnes, and ask each of you to kind of talk if you already have a legislative agenda or priorities identified for the 23 session, whether budget or policy, if you would kind of give a quick highlights reel of the topics that you'll be focused on this session. So I'm going to lead by example and say one of the areas I'm going to continue to focus on Prince George's County priorities and bringing resources back. And I have a big concern about healthcare workforce. With the hospital being new to our district, we've learned a lot about the healthcare nursing shortage and how that impacts patient care. So those would be two things that I'll focus on. Delegate Toles.
Thank you so much, Senator. I would try to do this quickly and follow your lead. So as the Senator indicated, healthcare is a big issue. So I'm looking to do a bill around healthcare. And so that's one. And the other bill that I'm working on is a bill around student loan debt. I think that we can make some changes here at the state level. We recognize some of the impact or the sort of slow walking that's being done at the federal level. So I'm looking at a student loan debt relief bill. And then finally, I'm looking at ways to increase a diversity of sports, for example, swimming in our schools, and encourage and support more minorities and to focus on swimming as a physical education initiative as part of our school system. So that's what I'm working on in a nutshell right now. It could change later. So thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Charles.
Thank you, Senator. Yeah, we have a robust group of bills coming through the Prince George's County House delegation this year. One bill that we put in last year and we didn't get a lot of traction, but folks are still looking at the beer and wine option out of the grocery stores so that we can start bringing incentives towards grocery stores to come into food deserts that we have throughout Prince George's County. Another major issue specific to me, one of the things that I'm focusing on this year, I put the bill in last year and the bill did not pass, but we have some good traction this year, and this is helping folks as they're going through foreclosures. We've had some of the heaviest and hardest hit communities when it comes to foreclosures, and as folks are going through this process, they don't have access to counsel. So we're looking at creating a program where folks will have access to an attorney as they're going through the foreclosure proceedings to help them thwart going through the process and save their homes so that we can have a lot of our community age in place and not lose their home because they're gone through a unfortunate situation for the time at the moment. But that's it for right now. We have a lot of bills, but that is the high level of some of the things I'm focused on.
Thank you. Delegate Barnes.
Thank you, Senator. My focus is on small business and ensuring that our small business have a seat at the table and are part of the $1 billion of procurement opportunities that the state procures every year. So you will see a slew of things that I am advocating for and fighting for and putting in legislation for, centered around small business and economic growth.
Thank you. That's really important. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, all of you, because I'm kind of moderating. I get 2 bites at the apple and I don't see any hands raised yet, but I want to encourage our constituents. You have access to the 25th district team. Oh, Reverend Edwards, you can go ahead. Yeah, just unmute and you can proceed.
Thank you, Senator. One thing I want to start out by saying is, one thing, Delegate Barnes, I was presented with an award from the Black Caucus, I think a couple of years back now. Thank you so much, Delegate Barnes, for that recognition of what I have contributed through the mission of love.
Most deserved.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And I have a concern that I would like to address with Delegate Toles. One is I have had the unpleasure of being in the new hospital for several days in late October. And one of the things that concerns me there is in the emergency area, there's not enough parking. So if someone had to drive me over and then go in with me, there's only 3 or 4 parking spaces out there. So you cannot park and go in with a person because the guards are standing there and they'll tow your car. The other problem I have is I went back to visit Deacon Whitfield's wife, who was in the hospital later, and to try to come from that garage over to the main hospital, if you're handicapped, it is really, really hard, to do that. So I would like to see, like we have at the Veterans Hospital, those little golf carts or whatever they want to bring the people, and I sent a letter into the county about that. It's not critical of it, but this is what we hear out in the community as civic leaders, is some way to transport the people that are visiting someone that is in the hospital. If they are handicapped, they just can't make it over to the hospital, so they stay away. They don't visit a lot of time. But if there's some way that we could have those little golf carts, it, would be a tremendous help to get the people from that parking garage over to the hospital.
Well, first, let me begin by Reverend Edwards. It is always a pleasure to see you. I see your daughter in sorority
Yes.
meeting, and I hope she tell you I ask about you.
Yes.
And Edwards all the time, and so you have been a long-standing, well-respected member of the community, and so I am happy to have been able to work with you on the council and now as my constituent. And so, thank you. I will be honest with you. I will have to look into that. I can't answer that question for you.
Right.
And so, locally they do all the design and where the parking spaces go and the zoning and all of that. So I just have to look into that to see how maybe they can change some parking spaces. I don't know, but I promise you I'll get back to you on that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and my colleagues here, I'm sure will help me find some, more information out about how we can make those adjustments if possible.
No,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate the question. Have been to the hospital both as a visitor and with family, and it takes conversations like this for things to really resonate, because that's something that I had not recognized or thought of. And so Delegate Charles and I were just with the president of the hospital last week. So now we will add that and loop the rest of the team in a conversation so we can share your concern and the needs that you have pointed out. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, Ms. Queen, the Queen.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm on a Blue Ribbon Commission and this one at the same time.
There's a lot going on tonight.
I know, and
Yes.
I had to speak, but I was able to speak. But so one of the things, and I don't know if someone brought it up while I was on a Blue Ribbon Commission, but one of the things I'm just wondering if you can take back for the whole state of Maryland, not just Prince George's County. We have too many people here with Delaware tax, with Virginia tax, with out-of-state tax, and they're doing it because of the insurance issues. Because the insurance is too high, we need to get on it. But not only that, they need to have Maryland tax. So we need to really work on that, even if it's some type of legislation that after so long, if they're able to park on our streets in the state of Maryland, they need to have Maryland tax, because they're getting away with not paying tax dollars in Maryland, but they're driving on our streets. So I don't know how we can do it as a delegation, but it needs to be a requirement after a while. If, besides it being a local thing, it really needs to be a statewide thing, because this is just not Prince George's County. This is going all over the county. A lot of people are going to Virginia and Delaware because they don't have to pay that insurance, but they're driving in our county. They're hitting our people. They have very little insurance, and they're using our roadways. We need to make people responsible when they have cars, and we need to make sure that they're going through emission, that they're buying their tags from Prince George's County or Calvert County or Montgomery County if they live in our counties. So I don't know how you guys can think about that, but that's one of the things I really wish you would work on, because if you drive around our county, it's too many out-of-state tags parked in our county, you guys.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if any of my colleagues have any response to that. Delegate Toles, did I see you raising your hand?
Yes, I got a call from someone about that in terms of what Ms. Queen brought up. And they're actually, the Revenue Authority called me about that over the summer. And I do need to follow up with them. But they had talked to me about putting a bill in as it relates to that. But you're absolutely right. It's just everyone goes there, because they don't have, Virginia doesn't have the same regulations that we do. And so I will have to see where they are with that bill, but the Revenue Authority in Prince George's County is working to put a bill at the state level to address that issue, because they reached out to me about it. So we will follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Charles, there's a question that Ms. Thomas put in the chat that I think you're probably best equipped. It says, I believe the state has authority over smoke shops. If so, would you please address the number of them, locations, hours, and necessity? And I know that this is something that you've been working on. So could you provide Ms. Thomas with a quick update of what you've learned so far?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact number of all of the smoke shops, but as I drive up and down Marlboro Pike, that's all you see is a new shop opening up every time you go a quarter mile. And then you go onto other portions of the inner beltway communities in Prince George's County, it's the same thing. I know our county council recently put a bill in that's going to limit, they have a county bill to limit the hours and the operations and deal with the definition of what is considered to be a convenience store versus a smoke shop and a tobacco shop. So that's something, and that was a part of the problem that we ran into at the state level. It was pushed back on us saying that our county council had the authority to do certain things. And so the county council has been working over the last year to come up with the resolution. So we won't have to do something that'll impede on other jurisdictions in the state. But if nothing is able to be done, our delegation will be moving forward on some legislation to deal with this, hopefully in a sweeping fashion.
Thank you, Delegate. Ms. Thomas, I see your hand up. I don't know if that answered your question or if you had another.
Thank you, Delegate Charles. Yes, it does. I appreciate the update. And we had an issue with one here. I guess it's on the District 23 side, and we were able to get it blocked through special exemptions. So I'm very interested in that. I did have a question. Oh gosh, my mind started moving too fast. Okay, I can't remember now why I put my hand up. Sorry.
That's
It'll come
okay.
back.
Raise it again if it comes back. We'll go to Reverend Richardson for now, and then we'll come back. Our Central Committee member, Reverend John Richardson with the Coalition. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. How's it going? I need our legislative team to assist me and the community with a major concern. I don't know if you all are aware of what happened, but I have pictures and videos I will share with you. So at the intersection of Regency Parkway and Sherrie Service Drive, it's an interconnecting street, and the Regency Parkway, it actually, you can see Pennsylvania Avenue and the homes at the stop sign. Well, I can't remember the exact date. I think it's been at least a week or 2 weeks ago. There was a high-speed police chase. There was a carjacking situation. And obviously the person who stole the vehicle, who was running from the police, didn't know that you only can make a right or left on Sherrie Service Drive. So they ran the stop sign and went airborne and landed right on Pennsylvania Avenue. Subsequently, the police officer ran the stop sign, went airborne, and jumped over the car on Pennsylvania Avenue. Through my research, investigation, personal skills, I found out this is not the first time a police car has pursued a suspect and went airborne, and there needs to be safety put there. Right there at that area, there should be a sign saying do not enter. It should be guardrails. I have submitted emails, sent emails to some of the people that I have connections with, having on the state side, have received a response. I've spoken to Police Chief Aziz about it. It has damaged the police cars, totaled the police cars. The officer was not seriously injured, but still, this should not be happening. And community leaders shouldn't have to constantly get other community leaders and the legislators to do this when we when it's a serious matter. So once that they opened the email and saw the seriousness of it, and I sent pictures. So I'm asking you for your assistance. I'll follow this up with an email and share the pictures and videos with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like Delegate Charles.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask Pastor Richardson if he reached out to Justin at all from the District 3 office. You know, I don't know if you saw the email, but I had to cancel. I canceled our MDOT meeting, which was going to be today, due to, you know, there's so many different moving meetings going on. But that's a part of, I put his email on that email that went out so that everybody had access to be able to reach out to him this month, even though that we're not having a meeting. Were you able to reach out to Justin at all?
I think he's on the email chain that I sent. I'll double check it. What I did do is I sent it to representatives of State Highway Administration, MDOT, and Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation, because at that intersection it's maintained both by DPW&T and State Highway Administration. When you all go down on the southbound side of Pennsylvania Avenue, at that, over the left side, on the north side, you see the townhomes. Well, you'll see that there is a damaged roll-on black fence. Well, that fence has been damaged for some years. I have email communications to the State Highway Administration, Delegate Charles, I'll share with you, that they try to backpedal on who's responsible for repairing that fix. I have notifications or documentations from as far back as 2012. So I know that they're responsible for repairing that fence. They did it once before when I got involved. And now all of a sudden, everybody's trying to say, well, we don't know who's responsible for the fence. And it's an eyesore, and it was damaged by a police car that went airborne before, and they just never fixed it. And so we have to hold them accountable, and the community leaders and elected officials, we all just gotta hold them accountable. They got to fix the fence, and they had to put up some precautionary measures to let people know that this is not an exit. And also, last thing I say is that another reason why it's important to put safety guards up there is because someone can just lose control of their car in the snow, and they go straight airborne down the hill. And
absolutely,
they got to stop being proactive. We got to be, reactive. We got to be proactive, and that's what I've been trying to do. So I need your help. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and we'll definitely, Delegate Charles, make sure that he gets that point of contact so we can follow up on that. Folks, we got just 7 minutes left before we need to close this and get on yet another state meeting. So I wanted to first thank the delegates for their time. Ms. Thomas, did you remember your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I'll be very
We gotta go
quick.
briefly.
It's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
a question. It's just something that can be taken into consideration for people who have relocated back to Prince George's County or to Prince George's County. I can talk to someone else offline if you'd like to hear the experience that I'm aware of, and maybe some things that could be put into consideration to get people to get those tags updated.
Thank you. Excellent. Please share that with our office so that we can, definitely follow up on that.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. White, you are our last question. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much. Yes, you've addressed the tobacco stores. We have 4 tobacco stores within walking distance, 2 on Forestville Road and 2 at Addison Road South that you can talk from one to another. The second thing is, why is Capitol Heights getting so many storage buildings and Amazon stores? And third, the new hospital, my granddaughter was having vomiting and diarrhea, went to the emergency room at 11:30, was still a.m. and was still sitting in the emergency room at 7:30. she got home at 10:15 that night. So there is a big need for something to be done for an emergency room. I would appreciate that if we could get some help in that. Thank you, madam.
Thank you for raising those issues on the hospital. We have heard concerns. We know that the folks over there are working hard. Immediately when the hospital was open, we were told that they are at the high 90% of capacity. The hospital, quite honestly, when it was built, there were fewer beds than we as a county believed that were needed. And we're dealing with workforce shortages. Those
Right.
aren't excuses, because we don't want to hear that when our loved one is there for a full day and night. So we continue to communicate with our colleagues at the hospital. They are aware of the issues, but we'll add yours to them. And quite honestly, having spoken with one of the community liaisons from the hospital, Ms. White, he did offer me the opportunity, if there's a member of the community that would like to speak with the hospital directly to share the specifics of your concern with them, we can connect you with him, and he's happy to hear from you directly. So if you're willing, I'd like to make that connection offline for you.
All right, I'd be glad to.
Okay. Well, folks, unfortunately, we're out of time. We are going to do another virtual town hall early during the legislative session, where there will be announcements and changes, I'm sure, in the weeks to come. And what I would like to do is give each of my colleagues, the delegates, time to close out their remarks with 1 minute worth of remarks. I'm going to say thank you all so much for joining us. I want to remind those who are able to watch this Let's Talk that we do have a YouTube channel. Our last session, for example, dealt with 311, 211, and 988, very important resources and how to use them in Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. The other thing that I'll tell you is our team is already working on support for nonprofits in the 25th district that have buildings that may need modifications or assistance. Please see a member of our team. We were very successful last session delivering for the nonprofits in the 25th district and want to continue to be helpful. And we're looking for ways to build economic development so that we have the resources to provide some of the services that you all deserve. And so one of the other bills that I'm working on is a bill that will expand the film industry in Maryland in general, but Prince George's specifically, possibly looking at film studios. We have a lot of talented filmmakers in this county, and we need to give them a way to operate so they can create jobs. So Delegate Barnes, closing remarks? Muted. Can you unmute, sir? Thank you.
I think you said it all. I just really want to just thank everyone for taking the time out to jump on this call. As the senator said earlier, we're going to try to do this more frequently and more often, because I think it's important that we hear from you guys and you guys know what's going on in Annapolis. This year should be a really interesting year. We have an opportunity to make history once again, not only with the amount of resources and money that we bring back to the county, but just the people that will be in position to help us facilitate a lot of these changes. So I'm looking forward to a robust year of change, and I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues to do and bring back as much as we can to Prince George's County. And Dr. Edwards, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Just one quick statement. I went to visit Freddie Dawkins today and take him his award, Reverend Richards. He sends his love, he and his wife, Catherine, to all of you all. He's not able to come out, but he did send his love. I told him I was going to be tonight. So thank you all for just letting me share with you about Brother Freddie Dawkins.
Excellent. Please give Brother Freddie our love. He's been around fighting for this community for a very long time. Delegate Toles, closing remarks.
Absolutely. I did what Senator said about Freddie Hawkins. So I would just say, Dawkins. I would just say that I want to thank you all for being here, and just always know that we are here working for you, fighting for you, or issues. Look, you brought up that tobacco hospital. Those are issues we already know, things that are happening, and we are moving full speed ahead to try to deal with those, issues that we have heard already. So also, please email me if you have any policy ideas, or if you see something in the community that's going on that you want some assistance on, and figure out a way to address it, because the best policy sometimes come from you all, the community. And so with that, I want to see all of you all when we start talking about tobacco. I would just say this: feel free to sign up for testimony. We would love to have the 2-5 constituents sign up and testify on legislation that is impacting your community. So again, thank you all for being here, and I will put my contact information in chat so you can stay in touch with me during session.
Thank you, Delegate Toles, and we will send a follow-up email to all of the people who participated and registered, so they will get all of our contact office information. Delegate Charles, would you close us out, sir? And unmute, please.
I see we're at 6:59, so I'm going to try to get this done in less than 30 seconds. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Everybody said everything already. Delegate Toles, Delegate Barnes, and Senator Griffith. We can't get anything done unless we move as a community. And so that's what we've been doing. That's why we've had a successful session this last session. And we're going to continue to move forward and be successful because we have constituents like you that's in our corner. So thank everybody. Have a happy and wonderful holiday. I'm trying to get this done before 7 o'clock so the Senator and Delegate Barnes can tackle the next major issue that our community is facing. So root for them as they go into this meeting, because we really need them to have sharp ears as they're tackling this problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Happy
so much.
holidays.
We'll send the YouTube link out to all of you along with the summary of this meeting, and invite you to look at previous sessions. Let me thank again, not just my staff, but all of the 25th District team staff that serve us and the community, because we couldn't do what we do without all of you. God bless you all. Have a very happy holiday, and we'll be in touch in the new year, if not before.